Hello and welcome to another episode of DLC Live. Hope everyone's doing well. Happy New Year to everyone wherever you are in the world. Today we have a fantastic guest, Oxa Life. They're going to be speaking about their wearable, which they believe helps reduce anxiety, increase our sleep, increase the quality of our sleep. And as you know, as an anxious person, it often goes hand in hand. Really bad sleep and high levels of anxiety often keeps us in a loop. So it'll be really interesting to hear everything that these guys have got to say. And someone's put, hello everyone, hello to everyone who's coming in. Let's have a quick look and see if it is third time lucky. So we have been trying to get the guest on. Fingers crossed this time is the time. Hello to Angela. Hi to Yash. Everyone's saying hi. Hi to the Store Leather Daddy. Hello from North Dakota. Hi to everyone from America. Someone's put, I like your setup. Thank you so much. That's a beautiful thing to say. Hey to Emmy22. Hi, thanks a lot. You are more than welcome. Happy New Year as well to everyone who's coming in. It's often hard to get everyone in the same place at the same time because we've got that many different time zones, right, guys? I cannot see our guest at the moment, so we may have to reschedule the live. Someone's put thrift store leather daddy. Lots of love hearts. So much love hearts back. Yeah, I don't think it's happening today. I don't think the stars are aligning with Oxo today, but I'm sure this conversation will be with us sooner than later. Hi to Lisa, who's just come in. Technical difficulties. How do I deal with anxiety problems about how I look physically? Is that? Just know that the way you perceive yourself isn't the way that everyone else perceives you. We all have this inner critic, this inner dialogue that tells us we're not good enough, that we're not good enough for other people, etc. But just know that when the other people around you, they have this inner dialogue, this inner critic also. So they're not paying you the attention that you think they are paying you, and that's always important to see. So Oxa Life, I can see that you've joined, but it's not giving me it is giving me a request. Right, we'll be doing it. Someone's put what's the book in the back, so you can get them in the link in the bio. All the books from the community. I think we may be on. I think we're on. Look at this. Third time lucky.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Is it
Sorry
just
about that.
no problem at all? Is it just going to be me and yourself, or is it going to will the other guy be coming on?
I think we can start. I will let him know that we are that we'll have him in. But happy to start.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, let's go. So yeah, firstly, thank you so much for stopping by with the community. I love everything that you guys do, and thank you so much for sending me the wearable. Firstly, I just want to talk about how comfy it is. I mean, you're used to these fitness bands and everything, but I really liked the idea that you can wear it, take it to the gym, sleep in it, and it really feels comfortable. So yeah, I just want you a little introduction to the community. If you can just tell me the background behind the product, and how it helps people with mental health conditions, and just how you came about the product as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's important to understand that Nanolec, which is the company that created the product Oxa, was initially actually producing e-components for smart textile. So we were producing a lot of these electrodes that were used by other companies actually to create some of the products that are out there. And we decided to start doing our own thing essentially. We realized that we could do more than just measure, let's say, electric activity of the heart. We realized that by doing some fancy engineering and having a loop going around your torso, we would be able to actually get the breathing depth live. So really the question was, where do we go with that? And sort of the first use case that that we wanted to pursue, or like the first use case that people think of usually when they see the product is sports, right?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but let's say it's crowded space. It's also was not fully didn't fully align with what we wanted to do. So we so very much a data driven company, and we started to discuss with people that were interested in technology, and we started realizing that there was really let's say a need for this type of technology in a space that is not performance but rather in sort of wellness, soothing yourself, and then more targeted towards stress down the line. So it started a little bit targeting the people that were doing breath work, and I would say often people that do breath work or that tend to go to sessions, etc., are usually people that have suffered from some kind of event in their life, which might have starting to cause anxiety or stress, or such. So from there, we essentially started talking to a lot of experts, doctors, and we built the product from there and launched last year.
Hmm.
So Oxa was launched, I think, in the end of January last year, and so it's been a year. It's been a very productive year. So we've gone from let's say a product that was just breathing exercises to a product that really focuses on the experience, the biofeedback, and also provides an experience for sleep.
Mm.
So that was one of the big development from last year, essentially, and this whole doing resonance breathing to fall asleep faster, deeper, and also the monitoring, which allows you to track essentially the impact of your practice on the
That's
sleep.
wonderful. So I'm just going to show the followers the product that you gave me. So this goes around like your torso, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the bands, absolutely.
Um, and yeah, like I say, it was super comfy. And what I saw with it, and I don't know if you'll be able to explain. So a lot of people, when they deal with say a fitness watch, especially when they're dealing with anxiety, they feel often feel like they get caught in this loop of checking the heart rate, for example, and every time they look at the heart rate, the anxiety then increases the heart rate. What would you say to people who are maybe a little bit put off from fitness wearables because of that nature?
Absolutely. So there's quite a difference in the way Oxa is used versus a smartwatch is used. So we actually measure at very high time precision the electric activity of the heart and the breathing. And so with that, what we do is biofeedback training. What that means is that rather than measuring yourself and then looking at the data later to be like, oh, I felt bad and doing nothing about it, rather you would, for example, follow some sort of exercise, and you would learn how to soothe yourself. So you would learn how to decrease your heart rate, for example.
Okay.
So and we usually start the experience with you not looking at the screen, like you say, often the looking at it's the paradox of looking at your heart rate usually increases it.
Exactly.
Um, but what we've designed essentially is an experience where you can close your eyes entirely and enjoy the full experience. So we have audio guidance. We have also the biofeedback that you can hear in the audio experience. So you can hear, for example, yourself breathing in some of the exercise for example, for resonance breathing. You're able to hear when you switch states from a state to the other, like when you get in resonance. We can talk about that
Hmm.
after if that's interesting to your users. But we have really this experience essentially, which is we try to move people away from being stressed by input. They can close their eyes and like really start to follow the exercise, and then eventually once they get comfortable, they can start looking at the data and try to essentially soothe themselves. So they can try to, for example, increase their HRV or increase their calmness or decrease their heart rate.
That's really
Um,
interesting. And like you say, I feel that other wearable devices really will try and lead with the data. And like I said, from an anxious mind, because I've been there in the past, I can understand how they then get fixated on the heart rate, and it can be more detrimental than good. So I really like the idea of, like you say, it's almost like it sounds like a virtual meditation spa session almost to really help reduce that stress that's happening in your life. Can you tell me more about the stages? So the different activities that people could do within it. So you say it's not just a wearable; it's got this biofeedback. What are the activities that people can do during the day to help that will help reduce stress and anxiety?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you still hear me?
I can
You
hear you.
just
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So with Oxa, we provide a few different. So there's a few different things you can do. So the first thing you can do, of course, is to monitor yourself. I mean, that's a given. So you can start a session, and it will, monitor your vitals at very high resolution. It will give you a report, etc. But really, what Oxa provides is a few different experiences. So I say experiences rather than breathing exercise because it's more than just like a voice guide and
Mhm.
and such. But I can give a few examples. So
Yes,
we have
please.
our welcoming journey, which is a series of exercises that teach you. So we start with tools that people can use straight away. So instead of throwing people into like a difficult, slow pace resonance breathing exercise, we rather focus on teaching them techniques to relieve stress in acute moments, right? In moments where you experience acute stress. Things like, don't know if there's any Huberman followers here, but things like physiological sigh. So it's a technique that anybody can do and that really rapidly helps calm you down. We have some other techniques. We call it find comfort in anxiety and achieve deep calm. But these are techniques that you can really use in moments where you start feeling overwhelmed and when the panic starts coming, etc. So we start with that, and after that, what we guide the user towards is essentially to start establishing a regular practice. So it's not easy for everyone to, and myself included, actually, I was one of those, to sit down for 10 minutes
Mm.
and do some sort of exercise. So that's why we start with those, let's say, more fun, more actionable type of experiences. But usually, and what we observe in the app is that the users eventually end up focusing on one particular type of
Okay.
exercise. These are, I
Okay.
don't know if you've heard of resonance breathing, but it's
Yes.
essentially slow-paced breathing, which has been shown in many studies to not only improve, like reduce stress, but also improve cognitive function and help disengage during a day where you have cloudy mind and things like this. And not only that, but this type of experience is also very great at reducing sleep onset latency. So that's the other type of experience that we propose. We actually have what we call a resonance to sleep experience, where you can start your breathing exercise, and it will guide you through an exercise of resonance breathing. And the idea is that you will fall asleep, and it will detect the fact that you fell asleep and sort of smooth out the audio until it's all silent and just switch to monitoring. Of course, that's not it's not, you don't have to do this experience. You can also just do the exercise or just the monitoring.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody seems to have their preference there. But this is sort of let's say, there's three main use cases. There's people that like to monitor themselves, do experiments. Let's say, what happens to my heart rate when I drink 3 coffees in a row? And
Mm-hmm.
there's people like this, right? They love to experiment with things. And this is the type of things you can do because you really see you breathe out, the heart rate drops. You breathe in, the heart rate increases, right? Then there's those that do all these regular breathing exercises and train a specific skill. So it
Mm-hmm.
can be trying to calm down as much as possible, as fast as possible. It can be getting into heart rhythm coherence. So that's the feedback that we give during those practices. You try to get your heart rate to swing with your breathing. So it's a state called heart rhythm coherence. When those two synchronize with your breathing, essentially you start experiencing the benefits of the practice, and they're quite strong. It's really, I was not a breather myself first, actually, and I use it every day now to fall asleep and before I go to work on my commute. You can really feel the effects, and it's with the system you're really able to get good at it, which I think it's something that was missing in all of these other apps and experiences. It's like playing tennis without seeing where the ball is landing, and you're trying to get good at placing the ball.
So
It's just
yeah,
just yeah.
it's almost like it's like you say, a great practice. And when you're dealing with anxiety, you really need that structure and that practice to really help reduce the anxiety and stress in the time. I do have some questions from the community that I'd love to get into,
Absolutely.
if that's okay. The first question is, how does OXA combination of Western physiological research and Eastern breathing practices contribute to the effective stress relief, and what scientific evidence supports its approach? So, yeah, what science is behind all of this?
Yeah, of course. So the approach we're taking is to be very science-backed, but stay open-minded. So what I mean by that is there's a lot of untold knowledge out there. I think rightly so, right? There's a lot of ancient practices. Thinking of tummo breathing, from whom, for example, Wim Hof has inspired his technique. There is a lot of those humming
Mm.
exercises that were done in monasteries. There's all sorts of practice. Yoga Nidra, this is one that Huberman brought back to the modern time by changing its name to non-sleep deep rest. Right? It
Hmm.
sounds more modern. But essentially, what we do is we take all these practices and we essentially test them. So we go out with experts. We try to gather that knowledge, and then we also read the literature, scientific evidence, and based on that, we try to select those practices that we think really work and really have an impact. We also run, I mean, we want to run right now a clinical study for our journey, but we've run, for example, already some studies for sleep. So we had a small control group where we had them breathe at their resonance frequency before falling asleep with OXA, and we found some statistically significant changes. So you were falling asleep faster, and also the deep sleep time increased in length. So we try to really use the literature that's out there to validate practices that are in the community.
Mm.
And on top of that, we try to run some small scale studies to test really the whole experience with the wearable, to make sure that we provide the practice that has maximal benefits for the users.
No, that's wonderful. And I love what you just said about the deep breathe, sorry, the deep sleep as well, because when you're dealing with anxiety, even if you're able to get sleep, often that sleep quality is not good. It's often light sleep, and you often feel depleted because you haven't had enough deep sleep. So how does the your wearable really try and promote that deep sleep phase of the sleep cycle?
So essentially, it, so the experience relies really much on the intervention. So that is essentially that you do your resonance breathing before going to sleep. I'm gonna be honest here. It seems to be very split between people. So there are people like myself, for example, who can't fall asleep without it.
Yeah.
So it really just, you know, this type of people, they do this resonance breathing before going to sleep, and it's just like snooze them to oblivion. But there are some people that get more anxiety from having, you know, to do something and listening to some guide and having to wear something. So this type of people usually perform the breathing exercise first, and then to wind down essentially, and then go to bed. But those that do use OXA to fall asleep and use the full experience are the type of users that are the most active in the app.
Right.
So they're those that use it every day. Yeah.
No, that's really interesting. So the next question is for individuals dealing with chronic stress and anxiety. Can you elaborate on how OXA resonance breathing techniques combined with the biofeedback helps regulate the autonomic nervous system and build that inner critic? So that how does it help boost that self-esteem?
Sure. So for those who are not familiar with the concept of autonomic nervous system, it basically means the stuff you can't control in your body.
Mm.
Like, for example, getting stressed. Your heart rate is increasing. You have no control over that. Your digestion starts going left and right. You have no control over that. But there's one thing you have control over, that's the breath. So, and the breath is intimately linked with the rest of the body. So every time you breathe in, it activates the sympathetic, so the fight or flight system, if you will. And every time you exhale, your parasympathetic, so the rest and digest system, activates. So that being said, what we're trying to get at essentially is to get people that are anxious, and I myself experienced a lot of anxiety in my life, to feel, I don't want to say good, but less bad. It's often how an anxious person thinks, right? But essentially what we try to do, so the first approach is we give the tools that you can use in the moment where you need to feel better. So there's the tools I was talking to you about before. Mm. But eventually, what we want to do is to establish more resilience to stress. So we want to not just have the tools to address a situation where you started to experience really a lot of anxiety, but rather we want to prevent some triggers, for example, from triggering these states that a lot of anxious people experience. And the way we do that essentially is by establishing a regular practice that enables you to start learning how to subconsciously control your breathing. So what that means is that, for example, somebody who, I'm not going to talk exactly about somebody who's anxious, but let's say somebody who experiences panic attacks. What happens is that there's something that triggers that fear, right? And then you're afraid of the fear, of course, it starts cycling. And your body, the way it responds to that is by over breathing. It's by putting in too much air in the body, and that you breathe in more than you breathe out. You're sympathetic, so your fight or flight is activated more than your rest and digest, and this makes this worse and worse and worse until you feel like you're dying, essentially. So the first thing is, if you have trained with OXA, for example, reducing your breath, the amount of breathing that you do, that's a training that we have in the app. It's called minimal breathing. Then you already, you can see that that's what's happening when you get in the state of panic. And instead of letting that hyperventilation drive you, you might have the courage, let's say, to start to reduce your breathing, even if that's counterintuitive. Mm-hmm. And what that's going to do is it's going to prevent you from going into this loop that will bring you in a state that's much worse than you were at before. Not only this, but beyond this going from hyperventilation to hypocapnia, we also teach the users essentially to breathe in a way that is a little bit more, let's say, less that is less likely to put you in a state of distress. Mm. So by taking control of your breathing muscles, so learning how to breathe with your belly, your diaphragm, rather than your chest, for example, you can really prevent this type of situations from happening. So really, in summary, what we provide is tools for in the moment, and then we provide a framework, training for users to be able to correct their breathing in the moment to prevent these states from happening, but also to sort of instigate regular practice that they can follow and improve upon. And really what OXA provides here is a way for people to improve their skills, to get good at this type of exercises.
And that's why I really like this product and everything that you guys do, because when it comes to anxiety, like you say, it's all well and good in the moment to have those tools and exercises to help reduce the anxiety, like you say, help keep you in the situation where the panic attack may occur. But we need tools to be able to help us on the day-to-day basis when we're not having panic attacks. But like you say, we are often breathing incorrectly and not knowing that we're breathing incorrectly. So having those tools, I think, will be extremely beneficial for someone in the anxiety community, because like you say, often people are going around not breathing correctly and they just don't realize, they don't know that they're doing that, and then that can then build up to a panic attack or to heightened anxiety. So yeah, I'm a big believer in having the tools to help anxious as well.
Yeah, it's really about reprogramming the. Hello?
Hi, yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
It's getting a bit choppy. You were saying, sorry?
No, I was just saying so having those tools all together, even in the non-anxious moments. So, like you said, so it's just training the brain and really sharpening up those tools for um, almost it's preparation for when the anxiety occurs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So reprogramming a little bit the way the brain interacts with your muscles, right? And all of your, let's say, autonomic nervous system down there, the gut, everything that's around the heart, and down in the belly, and to help you essentially reprogram yourself so you can breathe correctly during the day, and be less likely to fall into these difficult states.
Exactly. So the next question is, and I think this is a real important question, how does Oxa differ from other wearable devices, like just even with all the diagnostics that Oxa gives? How's that different to say, like we mentioned earlier, a fitness watch or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what the fitness, let's take a regular smartwatch like Garmin or Polar watch, which is great. I also have one for sometimes I use it for sports. But that essentially measures your first of all just your heart activity using pulse oximetry. So it's essentially just looking at when the blood is pulsing through your
Mhm.
veins. And that is not a very, let's say, very precise technology. So you have to average over some period of time to get something that that makes sense essentially. So if you take a watch, your Garmin watch, and you look at the heart rate monitor, and you breathe in and you breathe out, you won't see
Right.
anything. You'll just see a flat line, right? So you can't use that to train any sort of breathing, for example. I mean, you can see maybe after the effect it had, right? Maybe it will slowly go down, but it doesn't enable you to really understand if, for example, if you relax your hand, what happens to your physiology? And that's, for example, how I discovered that this is the best way for me to relax. Um, I realized that if I try to relax my hand, my heart rate just drops. And yeah, I realized that it's just very hard to relax my hand, so I have to relax my whole body for it.
Mhm.
So these are the type of things that you can figure out, let's say, by playing around with Oxa. Beyond that, we have also some other, let's say, interesting metrics. So because we can get the instantaneous heart rate, we can also get, let's say, HRV, heart rate variability, but also as a varying variable. So often with smartwatches, if you want to get your HRV reading, you need to monitor yourself over 3 or 4 hours, and you get 1 point, right?
Right.
And for us, we actually are able to really get this like a nicely moving curve, which moves all the time. Essentially, it's much more dynamic than what people think. And because we know heart rate variability is not really a metric that people understand, we've actually repackaged that together with heart rate into what we call calmness index. So that measures essentially how calm you are from a scale of 0 to 10, with, let's say, 5 being approximately normal stress if you had a day at work, right? And if we take you out of your day at work and lie you down for 10 minutes, you get to 7. That's how we've calibrated the index. And so below 5, you're more stressed than usual. And above 5, you're calmer than usual. And let's say that during deep sleep, you'll reach something around 10.
All right.
So, so that's also an interesting metric we have. I think another very popular metric is, of course, the coherence state. So during these resonance breathing exercises, essentially we have this experience which like tells you when your breathing and your heart start synchronizing. There's even the voice telling coherence, and then the music changes. And then you get the strength of that coherence. And that's something that people try to get really good at. So when we released that feature, I remember in Nanolec, everybody started to send each other screenshots who could beat the record, right? The strongest swing in the heart rate. Um, and maybe another metric worth mentioning. So when we did the sleep monitoring experience, we were surprised to see that our most, let's say, liked metric was actually nothing related to physiology. It was the sleep positions. Because we have like an accelerometer strapped to the chest, we can
Mhm.
tell exactly how much time you spent on your back, on your side, and on your belly. And that's something that people love to see. And we even have this timeline where you can scroll through your night and you see when you're changing positions, and how that affects your heart rate and other variables.
And just on that point, is there a specific sleeping position that you guys have found is best for overall sleep condition?
Yeah, so I would say that the safest position, and I'm not saying that it's not good to sleep on your back, on your belly, but on your side, it's the safest position if you tend to snore, for example, if you tend to experience sleep apnea. So if you're on your back, you will just, if you start having a crisis, like you start snoring very loud, it's possible that your trachea collapses, and that's what happens when you get sleep apnea, right? Some people might not even know that they have these moments of reduced oxygen intake, essentially, especially big snorers like my father, for example. You can even hear them. It's sort of like it stops breathing for a little bit. But so when you're on your back, this is more likely to happen. And actually, one of the first thing that people do when they have sleep apnea is to do positional therapy,
Right.
meaning that they retrain their body to sleep on the side. And for sleeping on your belly, well, I started like this as well, but it's not good for your neck, right?
And your back as well. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. There's nothing, it varies from people to people, of course, but if I had to give an answer, it would be sleeping on your side.
Wonderful. And I just want to touch on, because I've just seen it there, is that if someone has racing thoughts before they go to bed, so often they find it hard to disconnect because they've put the mobile phone to the side and now they're just laying there and they've got these racing thoughts and they're trying to get to sleep and they're often getting frustrated. Which part of the app would you say is best for them to use in that moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two things. I'm going to say what I do, which is, and what a lot of users do essentially. But that doesn't work for everyone. So, you have to try it out and see if that works for you. But essentially, I start the sleep experience, and sleep experience has this pacer. So it's like you don't have to look at your phone. It's all audio. You can either like hear it in your phone, or some people like to have a speaker. Me, I like to wear these headphones, and you just follow that pacer. And it's very, very smooth. It's like a wind sound, and there's a little bit of soothing sound in the background. And that enables me to basically think about nothing. It's just you try to focus on following the pacer, and eventually you fall asleep. Like that works very well.
And how long does that usually take you to fall asleep?
So since I do that quite fast, like between 8 and 15 minutes.
Okay.
I should say that you should not try to fall asleep too fast, because well, you can try, but if you fall asleep in less than 5 minutes, this can indicate that you actually are sleep deprived.
Oh, okay.
So there's actually a perfect, like, let's say, sleep onset latency. Something in between 10 and 20 minutes is healthy. Below 10 minutes, you should probably get a little bit more sleep and more often. Yeah. But for those who don't like this type of things, they can. We recommend to do these wind down exercises before going to bed. So if people that can't handle having audio in the bed, for example, so they can do one of those exercises and essentially go to bed after that. So you bring your system down, and you're much less likely to have these racing thoughts if you really activated your parasympathetic system.
And also, I just wanted to touch on a lot of people when they're dealing with anxiety, they'll wake up in the middle of the night and maybe have heightened anxiety because we know that cortisol spikes. I think it's between the hours of 2 and 4 a.m. If someone does wake up with anxiety, is there anything that they can do in that moment from the wearable that would help them?
Yeah. So if they actually were using this experience, they can just go on the side of the night table and just like tap on their phone, and there's the big button like restart exercise essentially.
Right.
And so you tap it again and it restarts the pacer, and you can just follow that, and when it detects that you fell asleep, it will stop it again. So you can keep using that. But that's a feature that people that were using the app requested, because indeed a lot of people have no trouble falling asleep, but they just wake up in the middle of the night, and that's not fun indeed.
No, definitely not fun. And I think someone's put for users in the anxiety community, how does the app leverage real-time vitals to guide them through the audio and visual exercises, and what impact can consistent engagement with these exercises have on managing anxiety levels? So do you have any data from the users that you have at the moment, for example?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a few things. I'm just going to pick one example that helps with engagement and help people manage anxiety. So um, we have this biofeedback that is not a biofeedback on your heart; it's an audio biofeedback. So what it means is that every time you breathe in, you will hear like, and every time you breathe out, there's another soothing sound that comes with little ASMR sounds, for example. What we've realized is that just having this, for example, really, let's say, people are, it's very easy for them to sit for long periods of time and just focus on their breath. First of all, because it's less boring. But what we've realized is they also end up slowing down their breathing and calming down, and the effect is quite significant. And so that leverages essentially the ability of OXA to measure your breathing. I would say second by second, but it's even less than that. It's 150 milliseconds or so. And we translate that into variations in sounds. So it's very interactive. It's very you have to try to really understand it, but it's not just fun, it's soothing. And that's just one thing, right? There is, for example, some people that are doing, they like to do Wim Hof, power breathing, this hyperventilation, breath hold, and then after that, you kind of, your state comes down. So because we can detect, for example, when somebody finishes to hold their breath, we can have this very dynamic exercise where, again, you can just start the exercise, put your phone on the side, and just like go from start to finish without having to worry about the timer, without having to worry about, how much was my breath hold now, etc. And it just, it just flows. It just goes from one section to the other. And same for this resonance breathing experience. It's very interactive and very dynamic. So it makes it, I would say, it's not to be underestimated, the effect that this has on those that have a lot of trouble to sit down and do some sort of practice. It's really usually that's what prevents people that have anxiety from doing these things, because it's very difficult to be alone with your thoughts when you don't feel good.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. And that, again, that's what I love about the product. And just regarding the products, obviously you guys gave me this one, which I said goes around the torso. I think we just lost you a second. Hopefully you'll come back.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you're here.
I'm here, I think.
Yeah, I think your camera's. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is obviously for males. Is there or is it unisex? Can women use this as well? And what other styles do you have? And would you say that there's any specific that you would choose for someone who's anxious? So maybe it's better for them to wear.
Yeah. So what you're holding is what we call the OXA band. It is unisex. So there's size spans all sizes from we have six sizes, but they essentially span S to XL women and S to XL men. And we, in addition, have the shirt, so for men, and then the bra, and very soon also what we'll call the strap. So maybe I can show it here. It's not something that we usually show, but it's a prototype. So as you can see here, we have this beautiful and thin strap that is adjustable. So that might be more practical for somebody who, for example, uses it in different types of conditions. Sometimes they want more compression, sometimes they want less compression. They might be using this.
Right.
For people that, so I would say depends, right? I think for anxious people in general. So we have, for example, people that don't like to wear smartwatches when they go to bed. They don't like to wear straps. It's just not their thing. And for those people, usually the shirt, for example, is like they really like it because it's comfortable. It's really comfortable. But if it's someone that wants to wear it, let's say 24/7 when they're going to work, etc., maybe the shirt will be less convenient because they'll have to wash it at some point, right? And in general, the bra is very comfortable and also has very good signal quality. So it really depends on what you want to do with it. But I would say that if you really want to be serious about your practice, you can get the bundle, right? It's the band and the shirt or the bra, and soon also you'll be able to get this let's say more flexible strap that we are working on.
And
Yeah.
and just going off what you said about it being like you have to wash it, it literally just clips off like that, right? And
Yeah.
then that just goes in the wash, which is really handy, really easy to use. Regarding charging, how long does the charge last, and when do you advise the best time to charge so it doesn't interfere too much with the data?
Absolutely. So first on the washing, so that's something that is often let's say underappreciated. But it used to be that smart textiles, it was like you had like a big power pack on the side and you need to plug it to the wall, right?
Ah, right,
But
yeah.
this I think this is one of the first garment that really is
Hmm.
fully washable. So you can just throw it in the machine, 30
Hmm.
degrees. It's more than 100 times washable. It actually gets better when you wash it. So often what happens is that the electrodes, they're a little bit sticky. So it's called the gecko effect. That's how they stick on your skin, the dry electrodes. And if you don't wash it, essentially at some point there's a layer of dust that, or your skin that covers the electrodes. And just washing it in either you can wipe it, but washing it as well does it will restore like that feeling of stickiness, and essentially it will improve even the data quality again when you wash it.
Hmm.
So you can wash it. That's the first thing. And for what was your second
Just,
second point? Sorry.
just obviously regarding the battery, how long does
Yes.
it last, and when's the best time to charge it so it doesn't interfere with the data?
Absolutely. So you have, in terms of battery, it depends how you use it, right? But let's take a few examples. So somebody that uses it, let's say a few hours or 1-2 hours per day, this will last you quite long. Like you really can go a full week with that. Um, if you're somebody who does sleep monitoring, obviously that will reduce time, right? But you can do one full night, even probably 2 full nights of monitoring with that, and the sensor will actually tell you, will warn you, maybe you should charge me because we're under 40%, and you usually record your nights. So if you want to have a full record tonight, better charge your sensor
Mhm.
now. So this is something that we try to indicate to the user in the app. But yeah, the battery is good. It lasts quite long and it charges pretty fast. So I'm thinking 2-3 hours and it's full.
Yeah, that's great. And regarding someone who wants to pick it up for the first time, and you said that obviously they can use it as often as they want to. Is there a certain amount of hours that you would recommend them to use so they can start to see some good benefits? And how long would you tell them to stick with it? For example, someone dealing with anxiety, when would you think they would start to see the difference? So when would they start to see that anxiety reducing?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm gonna go a bit across the grain here. So often, if you talk I mean, not all coaches, that's not true, but some coaches at least, they'll say, you've got to 20 minutes per day, and that's what it takes. And I'll say it might be true, but for a lot of us, it's impossible basically to start with that. So I would say start with as much as is comfortable to you. The important thing is to do it often. So
Hmm.
if you can do it, every day during the week, then you take off in the weekend or whatever works for you. But just even 1 minute, we have like exercises in there. They're like 2 minutes. So just do that. Just start with that, and then you'll see that as soon as you start feeling that something is happening, you'll want to do a little bit longer exercises, etc. But I would say that if you really want to feel the effects, for example, of resonance breathing, at least that I'm talking for myself, you need to do 10 minutes, 10 minutes of it. And then you really start feeling it. And usually it's like a declick, it's like the first time I really did it seriously for more than 10 minutes, I really felt it after. I felt good. And that made me want to do it more, essentially. So that's one approach. And then for those who are trying to fall asleep faster, then the engagement will come naturally. But I would say that if you can do it, let's say 3 to 5 times a week, 10 minutes, that would be a very good, already good start for somebody who has anxiety. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. And for everyone, firstly, thank you for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Obviously, we had a few technical issues at the start, but we got past it. We showed that we can deal with these external stressors. So that's a good lesson for everyone in the community. If people want to follow you on social media, is it Oxa Life on Instagram?
Yes.
And also, where's the best place that they can buy the product? And is it available worldwide?
So you can follow us at oxa.life. So that's the account of the Instagram account of Oxa. And if you're interested in purchasing the product, you can head to our website at oxalife.com. So you can just go on our web shop. Everything is available there, and it's available across Europe, the US, Canada, and I think I'm forgetting someone in there, but it's not available right now in Asia, and also not in Australia and New Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I will also put it on so that for everyone in here, this will be on the Instagram page and also on our podcast channel in the next 72 hours if you prefer to listen to this conversation. But that just leads me to say thank you so much for coming by and sharing all this information regarding this really good product for anxiety, but overall well-being as well. So I'm really excited to hear some feedback from community members who go and purchase the product. And yeah, hopefully, like I said to you guys, hopefully this is the start of a nice relationship because I really, really enjoy speaking to people who are really making a difference. And yeah, I love everything to do with this wearable.
Yeah, it was wonderful to be here. I love to talk to that community, and it's always a pleasure to try to help at least in some way. I would be delighted to come back if ever you want to start that again. And again, sorry for the technical issues at the beginning. I certainly had to adjust my breathing to be able to handle the situation.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, wonderful. Again, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.
thank you.
Take care.
You too. Bye.